Welcome to the Batcast.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
I'll get drive-through.
This is why Superman works alone.
Word of me!
Martha, why did you say that name? Vengeance. I am the knight. I am Batman.
We are back this week because a new Batman movie came out. I mean, it came out last week, but it didn't hit the DC universe until this week. And yeah, yesterday, as we're recording this on Tuesday. So yeah, it's pretty exciting. A classic Batman story. It's so much like The Killing Joke. It's a classic Batman story, but I think this might be controversial like that. I don't want to get too in the weeds on the spoilers yet. And go full into that. But spoiler free, what are your thoughts on the movie? Well, you took a sip of water, so I'll give my spoiler.
Sorry. No, I enjoyed it a lot. I think this is a lot of how. I mean, I can say this without it spoiling anything, but with there being so many different characters in one movie, I feel like this is how you do a multiple villain movie, just because it all kind of flows together instead of it just being kind of like a Spider-Man 3 or an Amazing Spider-Man 2, where you just kind of, hey, I got all these fucking characters, let's just throw them into a big fucking mosh pit.
I think what it does really well, much like I think what the comic does really well, you're right. I think it does balance those characters well, and it does what I love about these characters is clearly Batman has been Batman for a while, and he knows these characters, so he kind of knows how to just screw them over and hurt them, and like dispatch them. Like his first fight with Bane was really cool, and all the characters I thought were really cool. I love the animation. I thought especially. Like when they showed the rain on his suit after when he's like dealing with the Joker in the alleyway, like you could see the textures, and I just think the animation was just awesome.
Oh yeah,
I thought it was go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say there's like a couple of spots in it, like I noticed, like because I mean this is kind of a spoiler, but it's not really because it's Batman and he does that. There's a suit change in one point of the movie, but before we get to that. You can clearly see that they fucked up, and he's like flying. He's like crossing rooftops, and you can see the blue suit when he's clearly in the black suit for this whole scene. For this whole like 20-minute section, you see like the blue cape going across the rooftops, and then you see him like running, and you see like the blue and gray in the underwear, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then it like switches back like a cartoon does.
I also thought it was kind of weird how they kind of blended in the New 52 suit with a little bit of Scott Snyder's suit because there's like that purple tint to his cape. And then we'll talk about that later because it is a cool reveal, and I want to save that for a little bit later. So, spoiler 3 thoughts. You enjoyed it? You really liked it?
I enjoyed it. I really liked it. Yeah.
Same here.
They had a lot of like subtle like jokes that like kind of nod at other Batman lore and like just different things in it. That's kind of funny, and I was like, "Ha, yes."
I like Jason Mera's performance. I like him as Batman.
I do too. He's the voice of like 95% of animation nowadays. Like the passing of Conroy to this dude.
Yeah, he's been the Batman for a few movies. Like ever since they started doing like the New 52 kind of like DC animated universe movies, he's kind of in the Batman. Of course, they bring back Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill. Whenever they want to add them to it. But yeah, he's kind of officially the new Batman, and I think I really like his performance. And overall, I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I thought, and we will get to them in right after this sentence, but I thought even though they took some liberties with it, I think it makes the story better, and I actually like the storyline better this way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that being said, if you haven't seen it, if you haven't read this comics or anything else, spoilers, we're going right into it. So if you haven't, put it on pause, save this for later, watch the movie. Jesus Christ.
Sorry.
Watch the movie, then come back and listen to us talk about it. So let's get it out of the way. There's the big twist.
Yeah.
The big reveal is that for the original storyline has Thomas Elliot, Bruce Wayne's long-lost friend, who does brain surgery or fixes a massive skull fracture that Batman has, which is actually in the comics and in the book, or in the movie, I mean. He plays a role that he is the villain. You turn out that there's the big twist that he's the villain. Even though in the comic book it's very calculated, and it's like, well, this always happens when there's a character that's brought in that's never been in the comic book lore ever before. We're just like, well, clearly that guy's
here's
the
bad guy.
Yeah. Which it was fine because it's kind of like a throwback to that kind of trope.
Mm-hmm.
But he's not the villain of this movie. It's the Riddler. The Riddler is Hush in this, which is amazing. I love it.
The whole time I was watching this movie, I'm thinking, okay, so how is he going to be? How are they going to change it? How is it going to come this thing? And then he dies, and I'm like, okay, well then, like, is he not dead? Like, how is he going to come back? And
if I remember correctly, in the comics, he does die in that scene, and that's kind of what throws. That's what kind of puts it in motion of the twist of like, no, Thomas faked his own death and everything. So if I remember correctly, I think that's in the book.
Because from what I understand, Hush he's like pissed at Bruce because and I might be getting my spoiled billionaire stories mixed up, but he's pissed at Bruce because his parents died and gave him his money.
Oh, and because Bruce's parents loved him.
Yeah, and it's kind of like an opposite thing, and
were abusive. Yeah,
and so he basically wanted to become Bruce. So he like copied his face and shit.
Yeah, I think, and I honestly do. I think this makes the story better because I think they kind of acknowledge in this that Thomas Elliot isn't really that compelling of a character.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is just my personal beliefs, and I think that's kind of what they thought going into this, because they don't spend any time on Thomas Elliot at all in this movie.
No.
He's barely in it.
which I kind of wish they would have, because the part where fucking he dies, he gets shot, and fucking Batman comes out to find the Joker over his body, and he just starts fucking just beating the shit out of him. You kind of just like think like, is this really what's going to push him over the edge? This guy that like he's kind of friends with, but like we really don't know any more about than that. He just kind of wants to be a better friend to him.
Well, it's funny because in the books, Jeff Loeb actually like goes back and writes a backstory for him and gives him flashbacks and stuff. So that would have more impact. Yeah, but because the movie was already making that decision, like, we don't really care about Hush, or we don't really care about Thomas Elliot, so it does seem kind of weird where I'm just like, I was the same way watching it. I was like, this isn't justified. I mean, like, it feels like it just wasn't enough to watch Batman beat up on this guy, because I'm just like, I don't know. I think they could have done a little bit more with Thomas, and I think the twist of the Riddler was really cool because of this is how he figures out. I don't know necessarily. I don't know if I like the idea that he just jumps in the Lazarus pit and the Lazarus pit helps him figure out the Bruce Wayne is Batman. That was kind of weird.
He's given extra knowledge and power because of the Lazarus, but I don't know. I don't.
They do mention that in the final fight where Batman says the strength and the abilities of Lazarus Pit aren't permanent. So I think
that's why Ra's bathes regularly.
Yeah,
he's like every other day kind of guy.
I think that was kind of the thing. Yeah. Well, he doesn't want to, damage his hair, so he does it every other day.
Oh yeah.
Doesn't want his hair to dry out.
He wants to keep the juices going, which I also thought was cool when he goes in for the tumor surgery, and they cut it open as a fucking question mark. Like did he ask for that or what?
Yeah, I know. That was when there's parts of these I've noticed with these like DC animated movies which are fantastic. Most of the time I think they're great. But yeah, they sometimes have moments where they'll go dark and they'll be adult oriented and they'll go for that, and then they'll have weird cartoony moments like that with like, why the hell? But I guess they're gonna play up the comic book aspect. I don't know, but I thought the same thing.
And when he first takes off the bandages and he's like, he reveals that it's me, it's Ed. It's like, you like my beauty mark? I'm like, okay, what the fuck?
Yeah, that was amazing. I love that
I like it. It's cool, but it just doesn't make sense. Like why they would cut it open as a question mark.
I thought. I gotta be honest. The only performance that I really liked in this movie were Batman and Catwoman performances.
When they were fucking.
I didn't really like the Joker. I don't know who they got to be the Joker. But
I didn't either.
Granted, he's not big in this movie.
I didn't like the voice of Bane either.
Yeah,
because he was kind of like, like I want super heavy Cuban accent the Batman.
I do like I loved the character designs of this movie. I thought some of these character designs were awesome.
Dude,
when he fights
Poison Ivy?
Bane, just Bane when his eyeballs are red, he looked terrifying. He actually looked legitimately like he was gonna murder someone.
I like Poison Ivy. She's pretty hot. Yeah. I like the lady they got to be Selena, because she's from my show that I used to watch on a binge, fucking Once Upon a Time. The blonde chick. Yeah. I like her. She's cute. But I liked Nightwing in this one.
Yeah, I liked his performance too.
He's pretty good. I also liked the in-car call from Damien, where he's like the dad. That was funny.
I hope you use protection. I was like, Jesus.
You're a trollop. And he's like, you need to update your slang or something like that.
Yeah, it's and that's another thing that I thought was interesting, how they kind of use aspects of are they connected universe now? Is what I'm wondering.
So
this
the
is a
Reign of the Superman. This is after Reign of the Superman.
Yeah, because Lex Luthor references it.
Yeah.
And said he's an honorary member of the Justice League because he fought Cyborg Superman. So I'm like, are they actually gonna make these movies connected to each other now? And
I feel like they're gonna do
all the Damien stuff is connected too.
Yeah,
I don't know.
So I feel like they're gonna do a run of movies that are connected, but they're also gonna do their individual shit. So I mean, which is cool. Which I think that DC can really excel on animation. Their animated movies are so good compared to their shit fire that is the silver screen.
Well, that's what's funny is they're so good that Marvel doesn't even try to compete with them.
Oh yeah,
they're so good that Marvel is just there's no point in even having. Which I imagine Disney will eventually try and build that up. And have.
Well, they got cartoon movies, but it's straight to Hulu or straight to Netflix type shit, or a Saturday morning. But they're not putting them out.
I think with Disney Plus, you're going to see more animated stuff because they're doing that What If series, which I think could be really badass. That seems really cool to me. They're doing the whole What If run of cartoons. What did you think? Because we're kind of jumping around a little bit, and that's just how we do reviews. What did you think of how they portrayed Batman and Catwoman? Because again, much like the comic book, she is in it, and she is a big factor in it. And they they stripped a scene right from the comic books when he kisses her. That is directly from Hush, and that was awesome how they did. Because even in the like promotions, they put those two images side by side, and they're like,
"Oh yeah, this is awesome story. About these adaptations of like such good stories." Is because like Killing Joke, it was like panel for like a good portion of everything, and this kind of pretty much too. But I liked the Brucelina, which Dick references, which is pretty fucking hilarious.
What about?
But I did like that.
Or Brile.
No.
Yeah, Brucelino. Yeah.
But
anyway,
the scene where Alfred comes down to the Batcave with the tea, and their suits are just laying, and they're like in the shower, and it's just like fogging up, and they're just fucking. Like that was awesome. Like that's fuck yeah, animation porn. Fucking hentai type shit.
Ashley was asking me if, because she had come home not at that part. She came out at a different. She had called me on the phone a different part. I was like, oh yeah, it's Hush and Batman is like with Catwoman and all that. And she's like, so you're watching like cartoon porn? And I go, no, yeah, they're just kissing. Little did she know later on in the movie. Yeah, I love the fact that their relationship. Because they kind of swapped out his like story and relationship with Thomas and kind of put that to the side and then played up his relationship with Selena and Catwoman. And I think that was a better move. I think it definitely made me more attached to the movie because I actually legitimately cared about their relationship.
For sure. Like that's the one like thing you want to work in Bruce's life. Because they're damaged together, they can fucking just bandage each other up, and which the car scene where Dick is riding with Bruce, and he's like, if you're gonna invite her into this, you're gonna have to tell her everything. And he's like, this isn't my place, and he just goes on like this big long thing, and then Batman goes, yeah, you're right, and he's like, wait, what? It's like,
it's not your place.
This isn't your place.
And then he just rams the car.
Just classic shit.
Yeah, I think I agree with you that like the interaction between those three, they really play that up, and it actually does work really well. And you really want the three of them to work together, and you really are rooting for Batman and Catwoman. You're really rooting for those two to actually be together. And I honestly think the ending is super fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah. No, and they kind of like show you that like multiple times because the reason why they broke up the first time is because she's whatever that was, he doesn't want to date a criminal. She changes, they start dating again. She wants to go on a fucking vacation. He's like, I can't. I gotta fight crime.
Crime doesn't take a vacation. He doesn't say that, but that's essentially what it is.
That's the gist.
Yeah.
And then she's like all pissy. And then when he's trying to save the Riddler, and she cuts the line loose, he's like, I could have saved him. I had to at least try.
The thing the first thing
up.
he says after they like get out of the situation. Where they both could have easily died. All three of them could have died. Both, like him and her, could have died. And the first thing he says, he just stares at the like blown up factory, and he just says he didn't have to die. And then she's just like, "Are you fucking kidding me, dude? Like he was gonna murder us."
Like she's like, after all that, after he killed your friend, after he tried to kill me, killed you, after he almost killed fucking Dick, like. He didn't have to die? No, that motherfucker deserved that shit. And I had to try. That's what separates me from them. I was like, yeah, but
I know, right? I hate it so much. It's my favorite like trope in Batman movie, any sort of Batman story, because it makes you just realize because she says it. She's like, "You're insane. You're a psychopath." And she goes, this little code, it's going to kill you. And I was just like, she's not wrong.
Yeah.
He has this beautiful woman that's in love with him. And like, all intents and purposes, she's right. He should have killed the motherfucker. But he can't help it. It is something that he just cannot bring himself to do. And it's kind of sad because then in that moment, she realized like, oh, this will never work. We'll never be together.
Oh, yeah.
because you're not willing to go. And if the situation is you won't do it, you won't kill someone, which and they ended on that. That's like such a downer. It just cuts to black, and you're like, well, okay.
But like, if you realize in like 80 whatever years of Batman, Batman kills. He just doesn't kill main characters.
He doesn't do it intentionally.
And he fucking blows motherfuckers up. He fucking wrecks dudes, runs them over. He'll fucking shoot them, break their neck.
If he's Tim Burton's Batman or Zack Snyder's Batman, he'll kill you.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in the Batman Returns, he straight up just puts a bomb on a dude.
Yeah.
Kicks him down a manhole. Yeah, I think so. I really love that too, and that being a part of the ending. I gotta say, props on them to just say, screw it. We're gonna, instead of the new 52 thing, we're gonna give him the old suit, because this is what he looked like.
That was awesome.
In that story, cool. This is the suit he wore. So
and I like how they did it too.
Yeah,
he's
they
got
put
this
it
fucking
in the
concussion.
Story. It made sense. Like,
he got his fucking brain fucking just destroyed, and he's like, yeah, well, I guess I can't stop you from going out, but this one's got more padding, so don't get hit in the head.
Don't break your freaking skull, would you?
I
want to hear Alfred talk like that. Yo, Master Bruce, I got your friggin'
Bruce,
I steamed your friggin' costume.
And then the whole scenes with like Superman. And
that fight was cool. I like that a lot.
And he's like, you know what to do. And then she goes and gets Lois. And she's like, well, time to improvise. Whoop, off the fucking Daily Planet.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, he goes, you weren't supposed to throw her off the building. Hey. He was going to kill you, man.
No, I love that too, because that again plays into that where, like, even when he's mind controlled, he's like, oh shit, I gotta go save Lois. Like, which, even in that moment,
I fucking hate Lois Lane. I fucking hate her. And
that's because people write her poorly.
Oh, she's so stupid. Damsel in distress doesn't do this piece of shit justice. Like, she can't do no wrong because, hey, I'm gonna go out here, fucking Superman's gonna save me no matter fucking what. And then when Man of Steel came out and they made Amy Adams fucking Lois Lane, I was even more pissed because I fucking hate Amy Adams.
What do you have against Amy Adams?
She's a piece of shit.
She's one of the nicest people in Hollywood.
No, but did you know that she actually got one of her first acting roles in Smallville? Amy Adams did. Then when she came full circle.
She was born to put on the... I was going to say mask, but Lois Lane clothes.
She was born to don the button-up and...
Did you catch the joke when Bruce Wayne goes to talk to Lois Lane? And he says... I was thinking of buying this paper. Could you imagine if I owned the planet? I was like, ha! That's a funny pun. Because Daily Planet. Yeah, I think the costume looked friggin' phenomenal. Like, when he puts on that blue costume, dude, it looks sharp.
I'm a sucker for the classic blue and grays. The powder blue. You know what I'm saying?
And the fact that they put the underwear back on him, I was like,
oh, yeah.
Nice touch.
Oh, yeah. There's just like little subtle like things that like they're like one-liners, like when he's getting ready to fight Superman and he's got the knuckles, and says something about there's always good in him, there's none in me or whatever. It's like, what the fuck? Or like there's no bad in him, or there's always good inside of him, but deep down there's none in me or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, what? That's pretty dark.
It's always good. Like there was parts of this movie I agree that it's kind of weird because we joke about it earlier with the Riddler thing, where they're like legitimate dark moments, and then like juxtaposed next to it is some weird like campy comic book shit, and I kind of love it for that. I kind of love that, like, oh yeah, oh, I got into the Lazarus pit and I figured it out. I'm like, oh shit. And then he shows the fucking question mark and I'm like, of course, because we're in a cartoon. But I loved the scene in the prison when Batman just straight up fucking cuts his throat.
Cuts his throat.
Because even
and she was like, "Wait, no!"
And that I love when that happens because that just shows you like the brilliance of Batman sometimes.
But part of me wants him to be wrong one time.
Oh shit! Oh no!
Oh god! And then he just looks over at Jim, just stabs him,
stabs his neck. I as much as I didn't really care for the the performance of the Joker, I did love the commentary that the Joker provided when he was fighting Clayface. That was really funny.
That was pretty good.
He's
like, you're not even going to defend me?
Yeah, that was so funny when he's like, oh, you have another dance partner? How dare you? He's just like, you're not even going to defend my honor?
I just got back in here and you're already fighting another villain?
That was great. And I loved I love that whole sequence when he like cuts his throat and he's like, shouldn't have done that. Because it actually, as someone that, okay, let me just ask you, how did you feel when you found out that it was the Riddler? Because the Riddler is like your favorite character, like your favorite villain.
When I found out that it was the Riddler, because it was just like one of those things of you didn't see it coming, but it makes a lot of sense because the Riddler's got all this fucking mind shit going on. And everything's connected, everything's whatever. And the whole part where Batman stops the Riddler and he's like, this isn't you, who are you working for? And he's like, how about a riddle? And he's like, that's the thing, there was no riddle. And then later on, Batman is like, oh shit, there was a fucking riddle. It's been you the whole fucking time. Cocksucking fuck. But yeah, I was like, I don't know where I was going with that. But I don't know. I like the whole brains of the operation. So then to see him at the end actually have a Lazarus effect on himself to be able to go toe to toe with Batman for a pretty solid fight was pretty cool.
Yeah, and yeah, that fight was actually awesome. And the fact that he was like actually hurting him, I thought was pretty cool. Like when he like keeps cutting him with, I love the fact that the cane was like super sharp, so he was just like fucking him up, and I was like, oh shit.
That's one thing that like kind of bothered me though, is he got his side cut, he got his shoulder cut, and then he like at one point gets stabbed in the fucking stomach. But I'm okay now. Like, okay, what?
Well, they made it super dramatic because, like, yeah, he straight up just shoves, like,
there's, like, blood squirting, and then out of nowhere, he's fine.
It might have been just the way that it was animated, but it looked like he stuck, like, the whole end of the fucking cane into his gut, and I'm like, he just murdered him.
So, I mean, which would be kind of cool if it was some kind of Wayne Tech technology to where it was, like, kind of like Stark nanobites, where it kind of just closes back over it, but it heals it at the same time. That'd be kind of cool. So like the fibers reattach, apply like a Neosporin, and yeah. But that's just me pitching something cool. But you know, if the military wants to get in on
that, I'll leave my information in the description. There's something else I wanted to talk about. That final fight was great. I love the fact that they made it that Catwoman saved Batman. I thought that was cool. Where she figured it out and was like, she showed that she's a very capable partner, because even a few scenes before that, she helped Nightwing because she didn't get gassed from Scarecrow, which I thought the Scarecrow design in this was really cool too. I really loved his character design. But
and another thing that was funny,
there was another moment. I'm sorry, but the explanation of how she didn't get gassed was a brilliant example of weird, dark, like really dark shit by really stupid, campy stuff.
Chris O'Donnell.
Yeah, because it's like Nightwing gets gassed, he sees all this scary shit, and you're like, oh, this is really cool. And the fact that he's got a fucking scythe was awesome. The fact that, and he's swinging the. And then yeah, she's just like, I got nose plugs. Okay. What about your mouth? But she kissed you. So yeah. Yeah. Nailed it. No, I don't really care about the fact that they took liberties with the ending. As I said, I think it makes it a better story. I really enjoyed it. I do think it was kind of silly, and I get that they needed a way to bring in Thomas Elliot a little bit. I mean, the whole skull fracture thing makes sense because it worked in the context of the original story. To say this is the Thomas Elliot, he's a popular neurosurgeon, and he's used to be friends with Bruce. That's how they introduce him into the story normally. But they don't do anything, so it doesn't make sense other than to be like, oh, here's the classic costume because it's got more padding. Like, that's cool, but I don't know. I think the only reason Thomas Elliot is brought in to the movie is to just appease comic book fans, like purists. The purists are going to hate this, by the way, because this takes so much liberties. But I think that's the only thing to be like, see, look, we referenced him. He's in it. But then we're just going to kill him halfway through. Very unceremoniously. He's just dead. But that sequence bothered me too because I hate it. Okay, it's not a bad sequence, but when he goes in to find Hush the first time and it's just the mirrors, moments like that bother me because it makes Batman look stupid. Where he just keeps punching mirrors because it's like, well, clearly he's not there if you keep. I don't know. I just thought it made Batman look dumb. It's just a nitpick. It really is. Overall, I think if you have DC Universe or if you have some money, I think buy it on Blu-ray or watch it on DC Universe. It's worth watching. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I would give it a solid 4 bats out of 5. I think it would have been. I think I was in the same boat as you when I was thinking about it today. I was thinking, you know what? This isn't a bad. I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty solid. I knew that you were going to like that twist a lot because knowing how much you love the Riddler, and I think the twist is what put it over for me. I think I was in the same boat, but that extra half a bat was just on the idea of the twist because I thought the twist just works so much better. And I've always said I loved the storyline of Hush. I just hated the idea of Thomas Elliot because it was like so obvious to me. And I think the twist is really what put it over. But yeah, so that has been our review of Batman Hush. Luke gives it a 3.5 bats out of 5. I give it 4 bats out of 5. Have you seen it? What did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you a purist that said they shouldn't change anything? Do you love the Riddler and thought, cool, they actually give Riddler a cool little story? Because he doesn't really have very many cool stories. Oh, I almost forgot. The ending, when Batman is straight up just, like, taking down the Riddler and being like, you were always a C-list villain. You were nothing. This doesn't change anything. You still suck. I was just like, that's awesome. All right. So, Luke, I'm going to propose this to you because I mentioned it to you a little bit ago. I didn't realize this, but until we were texting about this episode, this year is the 10th anniversary of Batman Arkham Asylum. And I figure what better way to celebrate Batman Arkham Asylum than talk about all the Arkham games. So next we're going to do this. We're going to do the definitive Batcast ranking of the Arkham games. So we're gonna give each game their own episode because they deserve that much. So first up is going to be Batman Arkham Asylum. Every single Arkham game is going to be ranked. Who's number one? And, by the way, we will be doing Arkham Origins because that game doesn't get enough credit. So thanks so much for listening to another episode of the Batcast. And, like, comment, subscribe, do all that stuff that people do on the internet. And come back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.